As I have become more and more involved in the Nomad community, I have discovered that this community encompasses people from such varied backgrounds with often incredible life stories. It is my privilege today to bring my Glow family one of these stories about a woman who has led a life of adventure on 2 continents, then returned to school in her late 30s to become a college professor. Well, guess what? She's hit the road again and at age 69 is showing no signs of slowing down. So come on, let's go meet this fascinating lady. Well, hello, Jane, and thank you so much for inviting me into your lovely home with you and your companion. Is that Tati?
Tati.
Okay. And you said Tati was Ernest Hemingway's nickname?
Yes.
How appropriate, since you were a professor of English at the college level. So, tell me, how did you go from a classroom to a van? What was the genesis behind that story?
Well, it's something I've always wanted to do, and everything sort of came together in a serendipitous way. I found a van. I decided to leave my job. Things just worked out so that I could do what I wanted to do all of my life.
Is living in this van the first time you've really traveled by van or by vehicle? Or have you always had kind of a urge to hit the road?
I was a single parent with 3 children, and I picked them up from school one day and said, "You got everything? Because we're going to Canada." I had bought a van, and I took my small children all the way up to Vancouver and back. And then about a year later, I immigrated to Australia, and we lived there for about 8 years. And during that time, I took my 4 children, and we backpacked up through, well, we backpacked, we walked, we took buses, we hitchhiked with 4 children, and went all the way up the eastern seaboard of Australia. And in fact, we were staying at youth hostels, and one night I went in, and you had these little passports that you have to give them. And I put down these 5 little passports, and this woman looked at me and she says, "Oh, so you're the woman that's traveling with 4 children. I've heard about you." So apparently I was a bit of a legend on the backpacking trail in Australia. Then we moved back to the United States, and my kids grew up and got married. They all own their own homes, although they all have camping vehicles.
Now, you shared that you were a professor for 25 years, but you just felt like there was something missing in your life and you wanted to, for a lack of a better term or phrase, you wanted to write your own story.
Exactly. That's a very good way of putting it. Yes, I've been reading other people's stories for years, and I decided I wanted to write my own.
So we were talking, and you've been on the road for 18 months, and I was asking you what your experiences have been with meeting people and the type of people you've met. And you said to me 99% of people are good. And that's what you found on the road.
Good. They're gracious and kind, and will go the extra mile for you, like the gentleman who came and jumped my car, and I offered to pay him. He says, "Oh, no, you know." It's I think that is the essence of America. That is not. It's not. People don't understand that, because watching the news or watching things, the media, they just see the underbelly. But I'm here to tell you that I have run into dozens and dozens of just wonderful people that I want to go back and visit sometime.
So as a nomad, as a single female nomad, you haven't found that people are scary and frightening and it's a horrible experience where you're constantly worried about your safety?
Only mechanics. But as far as safety, what I tell my kids is, hey, I'm locked inside a big metal box, you know, and if somebody bothers me, I just turn the key on and drive off. So I'm probably safer than you might be in an apartment or a house. So, Now, just understand. There are some days when I want to click my heels together and say, there's no place like home, there's no place like home, and I'm thinking, I'm just going to turn around and go home, you know, and then I never do because I think, well, then what are you going to do?
So you're in about, you were telling me about 60 square feet of space here. And let's take a look around and see how you utilize that space.
Okay.
Now, as far as the kitchen is, you have a cabinet here that you were telling me you got from Craigslist.
Yes.
And you use a simple butane stove.
Yep.
All of your cooking is done on this stove?
Yes.
Okay. And then you were also telling me that you're a minimalist.
I am.
And you don't have a lot of expensive systems. So you have a simple water jug, and I see you have a bowl here that you're going to connect, you were telling me?
Yes. I'm going to put a hole in the bottom of the bowl, and it will drain into a little water container in my cupboard.
Now, we talked about your kitchen, but how do you sleep at night, and where do you sleep at night?
This is my bed.
Okay.
And it's probably about 2 or 3 inches too short. I'm
Oh.
relatively tall.
So how does that work?
I just curl up.
Okay, so it doesn't pull out or anything.
It doesn't pull out. This is it. However, I did make, under here, there's an extension that rests here, and it makes it a little bit bigger.
Okay.
And then I put this on top of that. That was originally for the dog to sleep on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, she's not. She won't sleep. She sleeps with me in this bed. Yeah.
Now, of course, everyone always wants to know, how do you use the bathroom and how do you stay clean in here?
Okay. This is my second one. This is a porta potty. I think
Okay.
it stands for. And I just have this on here because I sit on it sometimes.
Okay.
And I line it with 2 of the heaviest duty trash bags I can find.
Okay.
And it gets emptied probably every 2 days.
All right.
And then the other thing I do is the kitty litter trick.
Right.
Yeah, so it never smells.
That's pretty common with van dwellers and Nomad.
Yes.
Now, also, you were telling me you don't have a refrigerator that plugs in. You're using a cooler? So you're using a cooler, and what kind of cooler is this?
It's a Tree Line 45 quart.
And does that satisfy and fill all your needs?
Yeah, it's the best one I've had so far. I've probably gone through about 5 of them.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And this one holds ice at least, not as much in the summer, but during, non-really hot weather, it will keep ice for 5 days.
So, since you have such a minimalistic type of build, do you have house batteries?
I do. I have 2 AGM batteries along with a car battery.
They're more than sufficient for your needs. Now, you had shared something very personal with me when we were talking earlier, that you had experienced an ordeal with breast cancer. So do you want to share a little bit about that experience and the impact it's had on your overall perspective?
Yeah. It's a gift that cancer gives you, and I know that sounds pretty ridiculous, but you get to realize that every day is a blessing. The sunset is more beautiful. You kind of want to take in everything you can and not worry so much about the little things. I'm still working on that, but I try not to worry about things that don't really matter.
One of the things I asked you is, I said, so what are your plans? And you said that you learned on the road not to really make plans, and explain that, how you came upon that philosophy.
The laid plans of mice and vans. uh, I don't know if everybody else travels like this. I mean, there's as many different ways of doing this as there are van dwellers, but I tried to plan, and then you're driving past something and you say, that looks interesting, maybe I'll go off here. Or you meet somebody and said, oh, have you seen this? Or a couple of times I've actually been lost and found the most amazing things when I was lost. So um, I, I found that plans just don't really work out for me.
Well, we won't plan our next meet up or get together, but when we do, we'll tape it and share your story and what's happening then. But we won't plan it, but we'll plan on seeing each other one of these days down the road. Thank you so much, Jane, for sharing your home and your time with us.
Thank you.